All right, so today we're talking about 5 tips for a home inspection. So what is a home inspection and when does it happen? So after you get your offer accepted and you enter into escrow, it's the buyer's responsibility to go through and have a home inspection done. And in Southern California, typically our buyers are doing a general home inspection as well as a sewer line inspection and a termite inspection. And it's up to the buyer what they want to get done. And with it being a competitive market, the buyer is typically paying for those inspections, and so it's still a very important thing to do, and it will definitely save you a little bit of stress in the long run. So tip number 1 is understanding that there's gonna be issues. Unless you're buying a home that's brand new, odds are the inspector is going to find some things, and that's a good thing because it gives you an upfront idea of what you have just purchased, and you're still in the purchasing process where you could back out as long as you still have your contingencies. So if you have your home inspection done and you still have not removed your inspection contingency, then it's good to know what the problems are with the home, because you could ask for a request for repairs, and you also just have a better idea of what you're getting yourself into. The reason I think it's important to go into the inspection with the expectation that it's going to have issues is you've already built this home up onto a pedestal, you've looked and dreamed about what that home's going to be, and now you've found it and you think you've found this perfect home, and it is still the perfect home for you. And there are things that are going to be found in the inspection report that are, very strict, big problems, and then there are things that are just going to be little minor things that can be repaired over time. And so you want to talk with your inspector, and if you have a good inspector, they'll break it down for you as far as what is an immediate problem that needs to be fixed, and what is something that can be fixed in time, and what the cost is going to be for those fixes. This brings us to number 2 in the tips, and that is just looking at the problems that were found in the inspection and organizing them by priority. And like I mentioned before, you can talk with your inspector and look at what types of things are going to be a high priority and what are things that maybe could be fixed later down the road. And those issues that are going to be a little bit more problematic and need to be fixed immediately are things that have to do with the roof or plumbing or electrical wiring. Those are the kind of things you want to look at in the report and take a look at and see what the cost of fixing that's going to be, and if it's still worth the cost that you're paying for that home. Tip number 3 is going to be doing your research on that inspection report. So your inspector is going to do a great job of explaining the whole report and all the details in it. And then from there, depending on what the report comes back with, you're going to want to do your research and see if you need to do any more specialty inspections. For instance, like I mentioned before, termite inspection or a sewer line inspection is also a good idea. But if, for instance, you have a issue where maybe there is a little bit of water damage and you're concerned that there could be mold, you may also want to have a separate mold analysis done with a mold inspection. So there's other specialty reports that can be done after your home inspection or scheduled around that time depending on how tight your contingency timeline is. And tip 4 is ask questions, and that kind of goes back to talking with the inspectors and just understanding the full report. Like I mentioned before, a good inspector should actually go through your report afterwards with you and answer any questions you have. But don't worry if you see a long list of problems on your inspection report. Just talk with your inspector, ask questions, talk with your realtor, ask questions, and just make sure you fully understand all the details of the report before changing your mind on the property or worrying about if there could be bigger problems than there are on the paper. And tip number 5 for your inspection is to be present for it. If at all possible, try to attend your inspection, and that's where you're going to be able to answer more or ask more questions. If you can't be there, make sure your realtor's there. Just being present and understanding what's going on with the property will help a lot in the process rather than just reading a report secondhand. Like I said, if you're there in person, not only will the inspector break things down for you and what is working and what's not working, but they will also be able to answer any questions for your report. In Southern California, I typically do my home inspections with Shawn Foster from Blue Water Inspections, and I will put his contact info in the notes below in case you need a good inspector. He does a great job, and like I mentioned, will answer all your questions and explain the reports really well. But just do your due diligence and figure out everything you need about the property, and make sure you're present for the inspection and ask a lot of questions, and you'll have no problems. I'm Cheyne Inman with Remax Estate Properties, and I'd love to help you in your home search. If you have any questions, feel free to mention them in the comments below.